Oh, welcome to EnigmaCast, everybody. I got a treat for y'all. I've managed to reel in my boy Scott. He acts like he doesn't know me now, but back in the day when he was around 4,000 followers, he would talk to me. Now he's like 200,000. I got to get on his list. But I got on that list. All right. So we got a special guest here. We got Scott from Mysterious Planet. Hello, Scott.
Hey, how's it going, Joseph? How are you?
Good, man. I'm good. Thanks for coming in. Actually, Jay cannot be here tonight, Scott. He is actually on assignment. Jay is down in Georgia looking into a Bigfoot sighting, and
Wow.
then he's actually heading down into Florida to check out the skunk ape, and then he'll be back up next week. So I'm like, all right, so no problem. Dialed in Scott from Mysterious Planet. But you know what? But you know what, Scott? I've seen you in your element, man. All right, I've seen you working the grips in Congress, man, talking to people, getting UAP, legislation pushed through. You know what, Scott? That's 9 to 5 stuff for you. I brought you in because y'all might not notice about my guy right here. In a previous life, Scott was a paranormal investigator.
True. That's true. I did some ghost hunting.
So with some boots on the ground. Scott, fill us in a little bit before I let them know about our topic tonight.
Yeah, so today this is probably my favorite topic when it comes to the paranormal. And it's because it encompasses everything. So today we're going to be talking about Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch, man. And that's really the catch-all for paranormal activity.
I'll tell you what, Scott. For me, this has got to be the scariest place on earth. Right? So during our little brush up, man, we reached out. We planned this. For y'all don't know this, Scott's been on this show before, way back a couple months ago. I say way back, but a couple months ago, we had an awesome episode about the jellyfish UAP.
Yeah.
So Scott's my first reoccurring guest, and we decided then we were going to talk about Skinwalker Ranch, and so we did some coordinations back and forth, and I started doing some homework, and I actually forgot how absolutely terrifying this place is. And I'm going to say this with like the humility I have inside of me. You couldn't give me this place, right? I would not live here. I don't even know, Scott, if I would go there on a day trip, to be honest with you. All right. And so we're going to get into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, this place is crazy because this place has everything. Everything. UFOs to the Bigfoot sightings to seeing portals opening up, some interdimensional creatures, and it literally has everything.
It has everything, right?
So yeah, this is my favorite topic, and I wouldn't want to live there either necessarily,
Right.
but I definitely would want to go.
Really?
My curiosity is too strong.
Well, so let me know how it goes. All right, I'll wait for you down in Salt Lake, and then you can let me know how it goes. So for the people, I got this a little quick note section right here. We're going to free flow this conversation, but I'm going to give you guys just a tad bit of background. If you've never heard of Skinwalker Ranch, I would be really surprised. Like if you, some people maybe you haven't, right? But if you've never heard of it, you got to learn a lot about it. But here's a quick background of what Skinwalker Ranch is. So I'm going to give you just the foundation. Skinwalker Ranch is actually, it's also referred to sometimes as the Sherman Ranch, but it's the Skinwalker Ranch is what it's famous. It's famous. Wouldn't you agree? Like worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
How famous. It's 520 acres located on Ballard, southeast of Ballard, Utah, right? And its name is taken from Skinwalker, which is they say a Navajo legend, but I'm thinking that's pretty real. It ain't much of a legend. So it's pretty real, and it has a lot to do with what they call vengeful shamans, right? So just to give you a quick background, there was a time when I want to get this one tribe right. Navajos lived in this area on the border of Skinwalker Ranch, and also there was a neighboring tribe called the Ute tribe. Is that correct, Scott?
Yeah, it's Ute or Ute. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Ute exactly. Or Ute. So Navajos are notorious warriors, right? Viking-like for the Native Americans, right? So they went in there and they just took these Utes as slaves or whatever. A lot of back and forth. The Utes actually, because of the aggressiveness of the Navajos, they cursed the land and the water. Specifically, they did both, right? They cursed the land and the water for skinwalkers that they knew that Navajo were actually terrified of, right? And so and in 1930, from 1934 to 1994, it was owned by these people named Kenneth and Edith Myers. And then 94 and 96, it was owned by Terry and Gwen Sherman. And that's probably as long as they probably took them a year and 11 months to sell it. So and then a famous guy in 1996, I'm going to call him famous, but like Robert Bigelow owned it from 1996 to 2016. He's a big deal, right? Would you agree, Scott? Especially
he has a ton of government contracts going to, he's an aerospace billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. He's a aerospace billionaire. Robert Bigelow is a big deal. As a matter of fact, I think he is, one of the contracts he has is life pods for Mars. Like he's building like homes that on Mars or whatever. And then he sold it to this guy named Brandon Fugal in 2016. And that's where I think Brandon Fugal's a joke. That's just my personal opinion, right? So I don't know, like I've never met the guy or whatever, but he bought it, and then it got the treatment of like a theme park after he got a hold of it. So
that's the thing. I don't want to throw shade at because I don't know him, but the thing is, for me, I don't like when it becomes a show. Yeah. When it becomes a television show, then it's like, okay, it becomes gimmicky.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to think of Skinwalker Ranch as the gimmicky TV show.
Oh, it ain't.
What we're talk about today predates Mr. Fugal.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that is really intense.
And so during my background or whatever, Fugal actually went out and trademarked cups, mugs, T-shirts, and coolers, and like I was like, come on, man, like. And the thing about it is that this is the definition of F around and find out. So this 512 acres, right? And I'm sure there's a main road to get there. They got some guy named Dragon, which makes me laugh. Makes me think of Step Brothers. Like, you have to call me Nighthawk, right? Like, I don't know if you ever saw that movie. Did you ever see that movie, right. Scott?
Yeah.
So you can probably get on this ranch. There's probably ways to get on this ranch. Don't get on this ranch. You will hate it. So look, that's the foundation. That's the boring stuff. Now, prepare not to sleep for a week. Scott, hit him.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Beat of this. So the Sherman family, they bought the ranch from the Myers. There was actually a little footnote with the Myers when they sold it to the Shermans. The Myers told the Shermans, it might have been in the contract or the deed, I'm not sure, but there was some stipulation where the Myers told the Shermans, basically, whatever you do, don't dig on the property.
Oh.
Don't. Okay, so that's going to come back a little bit later, the don't dig part. Which means the Meyer family knew something was going on.
They had it for 60 years. So.
But don't dig. You know what I'm saying? So don't disturb the earth. Don't disrupt. So anyway, the Sherman family move in. Not long after they move in, they're there with their cattle and in this enclosure, and they see a wolf walking up to them. Now, it's not any ordinary wolf. This wolf is huge. It's a massive wolf, way bigger than a typical wolf, especially one that you would find in Utah, right? So there's a massive wolf that starts walking over to them. Oddly, the wolf doesn't seem threatening and seems like it wants to interact with the family. And the weird thing is the family is not afraid of the wolf. It's almost like they're entranced by this wolf. They're petting it. The wolf is letting them pet it.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
That close?
And
okay.
Is just petting this wolf, and this wolf just seems to have this family in a trance where they don't think it's weird that there's this wolf that walked up to them and they're engaging with it.
Yeah, that ain't me.
Huh?
that ain't me.
Wolf obviously has some type of abilities, and
for sure.
While the family's kind of entranced and just enjoying the company of this wolf, one of their young calf sticks its head a little bit through the fence, and the wolf chomps onto the calf and is trying to pull it through the fence. So this kind of snapped the family out of their trance. The Shermans were kind of startled. Mm. So they start hitting it with like a club or like a bat or something. And the wolf is unfazed, completely unfazed, and keeps trying to pull this this cattle through the fence. So Mr. Sherman tells his son, go get my gun from the car. Okay, so this is a Magnum. This is not a weak weapon. This is one of the strongest handguns you can find. So Mr. Sherman unloads a few rounds from this Magnum. Unloads a few rounds from this Magnum into this wolf. The wolf doesn't even flinch. It's completely unfazed. So then he goes and gets another gun from the car. This is a bolt-action rifle. And he puts a couple of rounds from the rifle into the wolf. The wolf, again, seems relatively unfazed. There is actually a piece of flesh, though, that comes flying off of the wolf. But it still doesn't really care too much. It just seems mildly disturbed that it's being bothered while it's trying to eat. Eventually, the wolf seems like it didn't really think it was worth the effort. So the wolf just casually trotted off. Even though it's been shot several times with powerful handguns and rifles, it just casually trots off. So the Shermans are thinking, this is probably not a good thing to have on our property. Let's go finish the job.
Right.
Sherman and his son, they walk down and they follow the tracks. Mr. Sherman's a good, he can track animals. And he tracks it. They follow the footprints close to where there's a stream. But about 25 yards from where the stream is, the footprints just stop. The animal is nowhere in sight. And the animal's just gone.
Damn.
And they never see that particular wolf again. So what was that? And one of the things with the lore of skinwalkers is they're shapeshifters.
Right.
They can take the form of any animal. So was this a skinwalker that came and, when it didn't get its meal, kind of trotted off and disappeared?
Yeah. And so, to pause that for a second.
Yeah.
That's why these things terrify me. And I'll specifically tell you why skinwalkers in particular. So when I started my channel, y'all, I made a very specific decision, right? I like UFOs. I like cryptids. I don't like demons. So I don't go into like the haunted houses or anything like that. I told Scott this before, right? The skinwalker is the closest thing that I'll get because it's borderline like on that cryptid thing. And I do like Native American lore and stuff. But I'm very much Arnold Schwarzenegger like Predator. If it bleeds, we can kill it mentality, right? If you guys don't know how powerful a 357 handgun is, it will blow your shoulder off if it hits you. Like your entire shoulder will just come off, right? And then the rifle he was probably using was probably a 306, right? Another powerful rifle. And if you're putting that in this thing, and that ain't phasing him, we got problems here. And then the whole tracking him into the woods and he just disappears. Yeah. And then go ahead. As
crazy as this wolf thing is literally the least of their worries.
Really?
Like,
okay.
It get a lot worse.
I thought you were starting at the top and working your way down. No, we're starting at the bottom. All right.
This is one of their first experiences and maybe one of their milder experiences.
And so and then I do know that my cousin he works out in Las Vegas, right? And I forget the local Indian Indian tribes that are out there on the reservation. He told me before, I can't remember. It might actually be Navajo. But he told me the story that he had heard. So they would go on the reservations to do electric work, right? They would do it. And so but they would get escorted or whatever. So if you guys don't know anything about reservations, they have their own police force, they have everything. There was a story that came out of there one time where a Native American woman shot a coyote, right? And the coyote took 3 steps and turned into a man, right? And so she called the local police, and she told them what it was. There's a skinwalker here. They came out. There's a skinwalker here. They saw him there. He was naked, he was butt naked with a bullet wound in his stomach, right? But he wasn't dying. It was weird, right? So they took him to the hospital, the local hospital, and none of the Native American doctors would work on this guy. They all left. They're like, no. So they say the white doctors came in, worked on him, patched him up. This thing's how do you kill these things, Scott?
I wish I knew, man. I wish I knew. I don't know. They might be immortal. This wolf seemed to be pretty immortal.
Yeah, man. Built to last. All right, so.
Yeah. So a little bit after that, I don't know how much time passed. Not much. Maybe a week or so passed after that. Mm-hmm. And there was another wolf incident. This is the last of the wolf incidents. But this one was the Mrs. Sherman, Gwen Sherman, was in her car and she was on the property. And another wolf started trotting up to her in the car. And this wolf was massive. The other wolf was big. This wolf is massive. This wolf has to actually duck its head down to look at her inside the car.
Dang.
Okay, so you're talking about, I don't know what type of car she was driving, but assuming it's like a standard height of a car.
Right.
This wolf has to be about the same height as the car if it needs to duck its head to look in the window.
At least 5 feet, right? At least 5.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
At least. So this wolf ducks its head and is looking at her in the window, and she's just kind of freaked out. Not too much happens here, but she does notice in the distance there is another wolf that's black. It's way in the distance. And she notes that this one has this massive, way oversized head. So it's like disfigured. It's like a wolf, but like its head is like novelty size. Like it's like this massive head. So it's like the shape shifting went a little bit wrong. Like it shape shifted to a wolf, but it didn't quite get the dimensions right. Like it just has like this huge balloon head of a skull on this wolf. So, you know, I think she drives off from that and nothing really happens there. But it's just a really weird sighting. These two big wolves and one of them is misproportioned. So another weird thing about this ranch is the homestead. There's a lot of poltergeist activity that happens in the homestead. Okay, so like I said, this ranch has everything.
Yeah.
We're talking supernatural wolves. There's this poltergeist activity. And later on, we're going to be going to this weird UFO activity and weird things going on with that. But in the house, the whole house is obviously the house. The doors of the house has locks, of course. But all the cabinets and closets have locks on the inside and outside.
See, Scott, and I'm leaving. See, that's what I'm leaving.
Like,
I'm out.
Literally, their cupboards where they have like plates and stuff. It locks from the outside and it also locks from the inside. Why does everything need to lock on both ends?
Yeah.
So to me, that's already super strange.
Yeah.
All kind of poltergeist activity going on where Miss Sherman goes grocery shopping, for example, and she puts away all the groceries. I mean, they're on a ranch. They're not near a grocery store, right? Yeah. So the whole trek to a store, she's going to purchase a ton of stuff because how often is she going to go back out, right? To go grocery? So she has this huge, load that she's unpacking and putting away in the pantry and refrigerator, whatever. She puts away all of the groceries. She walks away. She comes back 10, 15 minutes later. Everything that she put away is back on the table.
See now.
So it's a weird trickster element going on here.
Yeah, nah.
So and those type of phenomena, from the weird paranormal wolf to this poltergeist activity, this is two completely different strains that most people would consider completely different strains of paranormal activity.
No, you're 100% right, man. You can't, two different spectrums. Yeah.
So all the groceries get put away. There's other paranormal, like poltergeist type activity where like just little trickster things, like the Mr. Sherman had a post digger, like it digs a hole for like a fence post in. Mm-hmm. It's a big piece of equipment. It's like 70 pounds. It's pretty heavy. The post digger disappears. He can't find it for, I don't know how much time passed, weeks passed. He cannot find his post digger. He finds it 25 feet up in a tree.
No.
How did a 75-pound piece of equipment get 25 feet up in a tree?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just something is messing with them. Something knows that it's just screwing with their minds.
Yeah, and like most paranormal investigators would go their whole life, and that would be their one treasure moment. You know what I'm saying? Like that one digger thing. You've already said like 2 or 3 stories like that were like, wow.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like one time he had his son and his son's friend taking wood from one place to another. And they were carrying all this, like this huge bundle of wood. They were carrying it pretty far. I think they were carrying it like 100 yards or something, moving it. All this piece of wood. It took them 4 hours to move all this wood. Mr. Sherman comes back home and he goes and yells at his son. He's like, I thought I told you to move all the wood. He's like, I did move all the wood. It turns out all the wood that him and his son moved was put right back. 4 hours of work, gone. So it's like, what is going on here? What is this activity? Why is it doing this to his family?
Yeah.
It's really strange.
And again, Scott, how do you combat that?
I don't know. I mean, it's just at this point, the family's already kind of like, what the hell is going on here? You know, this is crazy. So now things start to get a little bit dangerous and a little bit more gruesome for this family. So you're familiar with cattle mutilation, right, Joseph? Yeah. So if you have any listeners who are not familiar with cattle mutilation is basically a phenomenon that happens where it can be any animal actually, but it's mostly with cattle, where a cattle will seemingly turn up with parts of its body surgically removed. The cattle will obviously be dead. There will be no blood on the floor, no trace, just completely drained, with surgical precision, having things like their eyes removed, having organs removed, having their anus cord out. It's really gross.
Yeah.
But this happens and there's no tracks, no trace. And the weird thing is, these procedures would take a long time to do, but they seem to happen within minutes.
Yeah. And to add on to the thing, do you know the one thing that's always freaked me out about like cattle mutilations, specifically cattle mutilations? You can take if you've done it any time in the woods, you can say, well, sure, it happened overnight, sure, the blood.
Right.
You can argue it. The thing that always made me a believer is that no animals will scavenge a cattle mutilation corpse. No animals will eat it. Not even the bugs will eat it. Right? They usually end up burning these things or drag them into a pit, and that to me right there says like, okay, what's going on here, right? You know what I'm saying? So
right. Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad, and this is one subject. Cattle mutilation is another subject I find interesting, but I try to steer away from it on the Instagram page because the photos are really gross and really bad. I don't necessarily want to put those out there on the page, but this is another topic that really fascinates me because it's insane. So Terry and Gwen Sherman, they're out there tagging their calves. Okay, they're putting their tags on. They're going around. I'm sure they have a huge area to cover. So while they're in one area, they hear a calf shrieking, freaking out, wailing. So they go over to where they hear the wailing. This calf is mutilated. This calf is completely exsanguinated of blood. There's no trace of blood anywhere. They weren't that far away, and this happened just... So, and this is not the first time stuff like this happens to them.
Yeah, and like the speed of it, like the speed, like...
It's surgical precision.
Yeah.
Which it almost seems like, I don't know if it's being done by hand or by laser. Something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And to rule out some people that might have like naysayers or whatever. Have you ever seen a mountain lion take out a deer or a bear like a bear. People think bears are cuddly, right? But a bear will rip a deer in half if it gets its hand on it, right?
Right.
It looks like a daggone murder scene. Like the grass is all so it's not another animal. They don't kill that way. They don't. They just don't do it, right? And bears are notoriously bad killers. They don't know how to kill because they're omnivores and herbivores, right? So they eat both. So they'll normally start eating a bear will start eating a moose alive. It's horrible, right? And it won't be done that quick. And a mountain lion's the same way, right? And a wolves are the same way. Wolves come in and, they attack as a pack, right? Yeah, Scott, that's weird, man. That's weird.
And there'll be footprints. No human footprints, no animal footprints. And remember, Mr. Sherman can track. He's a tracker.
Yeah.
And there's no sign of any animals that have come near. There's no teeth marks, right? There's no claw mark.
Yeah.
Surgical precision cuts in the animal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy.
So we got right there. So far we've got Skinwalker activity, because that's definitely in my mind. It's definitely
activity
from the first one. So we got Native American Skinwalker activity on that. You got Poltergeist, straight up spiritual activity on that. And then, like you said, now we got and cattle mutilations have often been tagged to UFO sighting or things like that. So now you got extraterrestrial activity in the area.
Yep. So there's so much going on here, man. It's insane. So there's another where, and this part's really weird, and I don't even know what this is, but Miss Sherman sees an RV on their land, and she can see that there's a guy inside, and he's wearing some weird headset. I don't even know where this guy comes from. This story doesn't make any sense. I really don't get it.
All right.
So she sees this guy, and she's kind of freaked out. Who is this dude on our property, right? So she calls her husband. Her husband is, he's not home, so it takes him a while to get home. A couple hours pass before he gets there. When he gets there, the RV and the guy are gone. But in that general vicinity, they find massive Bigfoot-style footprints, 18-inch footprints. So where did this RV come from, first of all? Who's this dude wearing some weird, headset? And then all of a sudden there's Bigfoot tracks in the area. It doesn't make sense. That's a really weird, screwy story. But now we're going to get into some more of the crazy things. Talking about
so those weren't crazy, is what you're telling me. What you just told me, that's the normal. That's the 9 to 5 stuff, Scott.
That kind of stuff is a little bit tame compared to some of the other stuff going on.
All right.
So there was a time where, and Mr. Sherman has seen this more than once. It's always in the same spot in the sky. At night, he'll see an orange ball of light just up there in the sky. And this ball of light seems to start opening up. And you can see inside. It's like a portal. And what happens is he looks up in the night sky, and what he sees is blue sky in the middle of this orange circle that opened up.
So it was a portal. Has to be.
To where?
Yeah.
To where?
Yeah.
What is? And there are times where one time he saw a triangle-shaped craft come through this portal and then just kind of zip off. So we got portal activity.
Wow.
We got cattle mutilation. We got skinwalker activity. We got poltergeist. This ranch has everything, man.
And freaking Bigfoot activity. Some type of strange is going on over there.
It's absolutely insane. There's one time where another thing was going on with their cattle, and it's in the middle of a snowstorm. It's like a blizzard, right? So this calf is freaking out, running this, and Mr. Sherman goes out to try to get it, but it's like snowing heavily. It's easy to track the cattle because there's footprints in the snow. Mm-hmm. So he's tracking the cattle. He can hear the cattle freaking out. He's following the footprints. The footprints are kind of going straight, and then they start going erratically, like it's scrambling to get away from something. He catches up to where the footprints end. There's nothing there. No cattle.
It's gone.
It's snowing, so there's no way the footprints would just stop. You know what I mean? Unless you could argue that footprints would have filled in, but not that fast. He followed up to that point, didn't fill. So this cattle's just gone. It's freaking out, screaming, running around erratically, and then this tracks just stop. That cattle was never seen again.
So you know what? This is how my mind is. I'm just since like, yeah. Have you ever seen an eagle pick up a deer?
Yeah, I've seen videos on YouTube.
Yeah, so now. I mean, like there's probably a Mothman out there. It's got to be. Everything else is out there, right?
There's something going on.
A winged demon scooped it up off the ground and saw it coming around. I mean, like, right. It would fit on the list. You know what I'm saying?
It would
fit on the list. Damn.
It would definitely. So they're losing a lot of money right now. So their cattle are being mutilated or just vanishing completely off the property. Cattle aren't cheap. There's thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So they're losing a ton of money. So they're getting close to, wanting to just get out at this point.
Yeah.
So, they're still there. And one night, there is a blue ball of light that Terry and Gwen are both outside their house. There's a blue ball of light that just comes up to them. And they're mesmerized by looking at this thing. You would think if some blue ball of light came up to you, you would kind of be like, hold on, what's going on? Be a little bit freaked out.
Yeah.
They entranced, just like with that wolf that entranced them in the beginning. They seemed entranced and kind of just pleased by looking at this blue ball of light floating in front of them. Mr. Sherman says it looks like there's a bubbling blue liquid inside of it, in the middle of it. It's a weird little detail that he puts in there. So they're entranced looking at this blue orb, and suddenly their dog starts barking at it.
That's never a good sign.
When the dog starts barking, it sort of snaps them out of it a little bit. Then all of a sudden, they're both overwhelmed with dread and fear. This dog bark kind of took them out of their trance. And they're like, oh shit, like, this isn't good.
Right.
Miss Sherman turns her flashlight on it. When she turns her flashlight on it, it starts making this crackling static sound. And she's freaked out. The orb takes off, zips. She falls to the ground, like in tears. She's like a mess because this whole thing is overwhelming for her.
Yeah.
So Mr. and Mrs. Sherman go back into the house. 30 minutes later, through the window of their house, they see this orb just kind of passing the window, circling their house.
Damn.
Like, it's stalking them. What is this some type of alien tech? What is this flying orb with bubbling blue liquid inside?
Yeah. No, that's a good. So I'm going to tell you, like, I actually did a video. It's on the channel, a short video. A couple of years ago, a British couple were down in the on vacation somewhere in Brazil. I don't know if you ever saw it. And they spotted a gray alien walking through the canopy. And it had a blue orb following it. So it's like it's on the YouTube channel if you want. It's probably on my Instagram page as well. And the photos, I was like, it just looked, but you could see it, like you could see that the silhouette of the gray type being or whatever. And well, I'm talking, of course, you know what a gray is. So of course, Scott knows what a gray is. So yeah, it's got a gray, and then like this blue orb behind it. And I also had talked to a guy who won't come on the show. That's okay though. But he had told me that in Alaska, he was at a campsite and a blue orb came in. I can't remember the color. He said an orb came into the campsite and then turned into a Bigfoot. That's what he told me. So like he was with his wife, right? He was sitting there with his wife. They were in their lawn chairs, and they weren't even like in the bush. They were like at a fairly place where people would go and camp, like in Alaska. Right? He was fishing. They was on a fishing trip. He said this orb came into his camp and then turned into a Bigfoot. And he said he just like it looked at him, it looked at him, and then he left. Just
what?
Yeah, just left. He like turned back into an orb and left. Right. He hit me up on the YouTube channel. He sent me this thing. He's like, "Hey man, I want to share this story with you." And I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "You want to come and talk about it?" He's like, "Well, no, I don't want the ridicule. I don't want nothing. I just want to let you know the Bigfoots are real." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So yeah, I wonder if, like, when you say, like, when you tell me these stories, you and I, how my mind works, because when we were going over the jellyfish, I was like, what does he want? Where's he going? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's his day like, right? And so when you're telling me the stories, I'm like, yeah, what is that? Like, what do you want? Like,
crazy.
Getting stalked by a blue ball. So you said when she hit it with the flashlight, it started crackling, right?
Yeah, making like this crackling static electricity type sound.
Man.
It's really strange. So, but this is not the last time they see an orb.
Okay.
The blue experience is mild compared to the orange orb experience.
Yeah, I just posted a video today about orange orbs.
Oh yeah.
Yes, on this. That was my Instagram drop today. It was this orange orb.
God. Yeah, I saw it.
In the Philippines. It was in the Philippines, right? All right. So yeah. Okay.
I saw that. So yeah, so they see this orange orb one night. Mr. Sherman sees it. And it flies up to him again. So this time, he's a little bit wary because he also notices on nights that he sees orbs, sometimes it's in or around days where his cattle are mutilated.
Ah.
So he's really on edge right now when this orb comes up to him. So this orange orb comes up to him. He sends his dogs to go chase it. So this orb zips off to the tree line. The dogs are barking, chasing this orb into the tree line. While it's out of sight now, he can't see it. It's dark. He just knows the orb went into the tree line and the dogs are there. He can hear the dogs barking, barking, barking. Suddenly, he hears 3 yelps, one after another. So he's like, shit. Like, yeah. He's not going to go walk back out there now.
Yeah.
Into the dark.
Yeah.
So he goes back into his house. The next morning, he goes out to the spot where his dogs chased the orb. There's no sign of his dogs. There's no dead bodies of his dogs. But what he sees are 3 patches of grass that seem kind of like pressed in. And in the middle of each patch of grass is like this greasy black like blob.
Yeah.
It's like this orb liquidated.
Yeah. Dang. That is so strange, bro.
That to me would do it. I'm like, all right, peace. I'm out. I'm not hanging out.
Another thing too, for people that would say that these guys are making this up. Usually if you've been doing this for a while, like Scott and I have, you kind of develop a sense for like the BS meter, right? People normally don't diversify their stories by, I'd say, category, right? So if he was going to say that something's wrong with the ranch, he would have stuck with the Skinwalker,
right,
wolves. It wouldn't end with they turned my dogs into pudding, So yeah, and so that's why I heavily believe this, right? I heavily believe this stuff, man. Like I said, that's why I wouldn't go there. Like I don't like it's out of my weight class, bro.
Oh yeah, man, it's so wild, dude. And this is kind of, and I don't have an exact story to line up with this, but I do know that, and this is, remember in the beginning I mentioned that the Maya said don't dig?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they did disturb the earth, there would seem to be a pickup in activity, and they would hear machinery, what sounds like machinery under the ground.
What?
Yeah. So what the hell is that?
Yo, what is that?
So they would start digging, disturbing the earth. And then for a period of time, they would hear machinery sounding like it's coming from underground.
So you ready to theory craft, Scott? You ready to put our tinfoils on here? Or do you got more stories? You got more terrifying things to tell me so I don't sleep tonight?
Oh, I got some more terrifying stuff.
Oh, let's go. I'll let you keep going in. We'll theory craft in the end.
There was one guy who, this word starts getting around about this ranch, right? So there's a guy who hears about stuff that's going on, and this guy comes to the property and wants to meditate on the property.
Oh.
So Mr. Okay, this is weird, but whatever. He got in his car, and Mr. Sherman drove him to a certain field, and the guy was like, "Oh, this is the place. Let me out here."
Mm-hmm.
So this dude is standing out there in the middle of the field, and he starts meditating. He's standing there with his arms out like this, and he's meditating. And while he's there, Mr. Sherman's just kind of like waiting, like, what is this dude doing? And then Mr. Sherman sees movement up in the tree line. The tops of the trees, movement. Something is moving from tree to tree, bouncing the branches. There's no monkeys in Utah, so nothing's jumping through the tree, shaking the whole treetops like that. Yeah. Suddenly, whatever was on top of the tree jumps down. Mr. Sherman sees that he can't see detail of this creature. It looks like the predator has that like camouflage where it's like translucent. You can kind of see through. You can definitely see an outline of the figure. Something is camoed, predator style, and is running, prancing on all fours, beelining towards this guy who is meditating, who's completely oblivious to anything that's going on right. So this thing is charged towards him. When it gets right in his face, it lets out this huge guttural roar. Doesn't hurt him. It just lets out this huge, ferocious roar. It knocks the dude's freaked out. The dude gets knocked back just from the sound and the fear of what's going on. He just falls back. And this thing prances off, runs away again, back into the woods. This dude's freaked out. He just wants to go home. He's in tears, this guy. He's like hugging Mr. Sherman, just like, take me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here. What about this dude meditating set this thing off? What is it? Why won't it let him do that?
Yeah.
It's like trying to prevent something like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that here. And it tries to scare him away. Why? It's really strange.
Yeah, so, that is weird.
This thing, and I'm gonna skip around a little bit. The Sherman family is freaked out. They sell the ranch to, like you mentioned earlier, Mr. Bigelow.
Right.
Mr. Bigelow has a whole team of scientists who he brings on to study the phenomena. They want to catch the activity in action. They want to study it. Mr. Sherman stays on as an employee, as a ranch hand, because a lot of the activity happens around cattle. Mm-hmm. A lot of activity is happening to the family. So to keep the activity going, to be studied, he keeps running the ranch, but he doesn't live there anymore. He just keeps running it so Bigelow and his team can study it. So there's one night where they are at the ranch and they see in the distance a little yellow light off in the distance. And this little yellow light, kind of like the orange light that was in the sky, opens up. And they're looking at this through like binoculars, high-powered like binoculars. It's in the distance. And they see something humanoid crawl out from this orange, this yellow.
Oh my gosh.
Portal.
Another thing that probably can't be killed, but yeah, okay.
And I mean, there's really nothing else that really happens. They don't have any further story, but they just see this porthole open up, some humanoid creature like crawling out of it, closes back up, creature's gone. Who knows where it went? It's somewhere on that property. What is going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of happening with like their camera equipment goes missing. Just they have cameras trained on all areas of the ranch. Mm-hmm. They have cameras looking at cameras. And there's one camera where they notice it's not getting a feed anymore. It's all duct taped. It's like in piping the wires. But the camera wires were cut. There's 3 feet of wire missing. And the camera that's trained on that camera catches nothing. Nothing. So there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on. There's one other story that's crazy. This is maybe my favorite story. There's a lot more stories. We could talk forever, but I'll leave you with another story that is probably maybe my favorite story.
All right, I can't wait.
It's not super scary as some of these other ones, but it's so weird that I don't know why. I love this story. So, oh wait, sorry. I'm gonna give you 2 stories. One of them is really short.
No, it's okay. Bring it, man. We got plenty of time. Bring it.
Sold the ranch to Mr. Bigelow. One time, Terry and his son, I think it was his son, and one of the scientists who were living on the ranch there, they're walking around outside, and they hear voices talking in another language that they don't recognize. They're in the middle of an empty, field. There's no one there. Mm-hmm. And the voices sound like they're coming from 20 feet above their head. So they don't see anything. Right. They just hear dialogue between 2 beings. They can hear 2 different voices talking an unfamiliar language 20 feet above their head. And they see nothing. So that's a weird one.
That is weird.
It's super weird. But maybe my favorite story is at this point, they've lost so much cattle to Vanishing, to Mutilations. And Miss Sherman makes some kind of comment like, oh man, like it's a good thing they haven't messed with our prize like bulls. Thank God they haven't messed with our prize bulls. Mm-hmm. The phenomenon heard them and took that as, okay, let's see what I do. So they make that comment, and they're at their, where their bulls are in this enclosure, whatever. They leave. A couple hours later, they come back past that enclosure. A couple hours. All 4 of their prize bull are gone. They're just gone.
Okay.
So they go looking. They go around the whole property. They're frantic. These bulls are worth thousands of dollars.
Bulls are very expensive. Yeah.
And they're just gone. There's no trace of them at all. They go back to the enclosure and start looking in that area again. There's a little trailer. There's a small trailer in that enclosure, which could maybe hold a bull, mm-hmm. maybe 2 bull. It's not meant to hold more than that. But they notice that all the bull are inside of this trailer. All 4. The trailer is tied. The trailer, they had a lock on it, but it wasn't like a master lock. It was like just kind of tied with like wire.
Right.
The trailer was still tied shut. And there's cobwebs all over it, undisturbed.
Dang.
But there are 4 bull inside of this trailer, which aren't meant to fit 4 bull. They're packed in there like sardines. He opens up the trailer, clears the cobwebs, opens up the trailer. The 4 bulls are in there, completely entranced. Like they just look like they're like half asleep. Right? So to lead 4 bulls into a trailer that's too tight for them, like you couldn't do that.
Nah.
You couldn't force 4 bull into a tight space where they're crammed shoulder to shoulder like that. There's no way you could do that, especially in the amount of time that they were gone and came back.
Yeah.
The bulls all of a sudden seem like they snapped out of whatever this trance is. And they are all freaking out, kicking, trying to get out. They're all scrambling to get out. They're scared to death. They don't even know how they got in the trailer. The bulls like, what the
right.
they're scrambling to get out. They get out. They finally get their way out. At this point, Bigelow owns the ranch, so the scientists are around. So he goes and he grabs the scientists and be like, hey, come back. This just happened. The scientist has his equipment with him. And the electromagnetic signal in that area is off the charts. Something happened in that area that somehow teleported them, because the cobwebs were still on the locks.
Yeah.
Teleported them into this trailer, and it left this huge electromagnetic field disturbance.
Man.
So it's crazy, man. And there's so much stuff that goes on, dude. There's things where they see dinosaur type creatures, and there's a lot of stuff that goes.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So Scott, I got a word for that, man. That's called fiduciary, right? That's fiduciary. When I'm fiduciary here going on.
Man, I don't know if it gets any more fiduciary than that.
So this thing just to mess with them, snatched up 4 bulls, teleported them into a tight pen just to show them that I could put them in a tight pen, and it's just like poking on it, right? Because let's be real, if whatever that one thing was, he could smoke everybody on that ranch, or whatever it was, So yeah, whatever it is could take them out. So it's choosing not to kill them, it could do it with no problem, and it's just messing with them. That is so weird, man.
Weird. And no humans that I'm aware of, I might be wrong, there's no humans that were ever harmed. It's only animals that harm came to.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I've never heard of it, never heard of anybody.
Right. If there are people that were harmed, I'm not aware of that story. So if anyone watching knows, you could drop that in the comment.
Yeah.
Because I would like to know if somebody was harmed, because I don't know that.
Yeah. But, okay. All right,
yeah,
Scott,
man.
let's put your brain to test here. I got questions here, man. I got questions.
Do it.
Probably not gonna get the answers on. What in the heck did those Ute Indians do to this place when they say they cursed the land and the water? What did y'all unleash? What did you do?
The thing, man, I don't know. And it's so strange because it's the Skinwalker element, which makes sense given the backstory. Right. But then there's UFOs. I didn't even talk about UFOs. There's UFOs that get seen flying around at night, or even in the day. There's UFOs. There's the Bigfoot. There's these weird creatures coming out of portals. What is there's the Poltergeist activity?
Yeah, what did y'all do?
What's going on? The sounds underground.
That's weird. That's that one right there. That is weird. That is the whole thing is weird, but that, you're hearing machinery underground, right? And I just did a podcast. It's actually running right now we were talking about Egyptian civilization discovered in the Grand Canyons in 1920, right. And the Hopis creation story is that they came out of the earth, basically the inner earth theory that they came out of the earth, and then behind them the Hopis they call themselves the first men or the first peoples is what they say. But they say a reptilian race followed them and then turned into humans when they got on the surface, right? And I don't know why my mind would be okay, is that some kind of underground cavern, underneath there, catacombs underneath that, but then I was thinking no, that's weird. That's just weird. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Man, so crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, Skinwalker Ranch has everything. It's all tied into this one place. It's not even just tied to that property specifically.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, there was a lady who had that situation with the coyote turned into Skinwalker.
Yeah.
People in the surrounding area see UFOs and have weird situations going on. So that whole area, something's going on there.
Yeah, and if you've never been to Utah in the winter, man, a winter in Utah is no joke. That is real deal. Yeah. You ever been out there?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, the winters in Utah is no joke. So, and I'd heard too that the 512 acres of Skinwalker Ranch is the epicenter. But like you said, all the other ranches get this a little bit of something, right? A little bit of something going on. And I did hear about those UFOs that they one of the theories that they had, which was so weird, is that there was a buried UFO out there. That there was a buried one, and that was one of the theories that they were going with for a while. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went. Like, I guess you would have to dig to try to find it, right? But they don't want to dig out there because of the crazy shit that happens when you dig, right? That there was a buried UFO out there, a big one, a buried big one, right? But that wouldn't explain the other, stuff, right?
I mean, so bizarre, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. And this is actually good to mention. I should mention this. That during Bigelow's ownership of the ranch from 98 to 2016 or 96 to 2016, there was a 2-year period, I think 2008 maybe, 2008, 2009, where the Department of Defense.
Okay, here we go.
People out there studying it as well while Bigelow owned it. I don't know if it was some type of contract that they had with Bigelow, but the Department of Defense supposedly did some investigating on the ranch for 2 years during Bigelow's ownership to make sure that whatever was going on wasn't a national security threat.
Yeah.
So for the government, and this is all probably shadow money, but for the government to start to spend money to go to this ranch for 2 years means that something is definitely happening. They're not going to spend that much money studying a property for 2 years on nothing but speculation. Something actually happening for them to spend that kind of money.
No, and you're absolutely right on that too. So it's funny. I'm going to tie this into something that you ever heard of Joe Barger?
The name sounds familiar.
I did a podcast about him several episodes ago. He shot a Dogman in the Manatee National Forest up in Michigan.
Yeah.
It was a 10-foot tall Dogman, and the Department of Homeland Security sweated him down. I've actually been in contact with his wife to come onto the show. We're working back and forth. And they told him that he killed one of their assets. And my reply to that was like, well, then tell your asset to stop trying to kill me. That would be my comeback on that, right? Like, so.
Man.
And so when I posted that video up, and then I had done another, Instagram about it, where they tried to pass in 2022 a law saying to make human-animal hybrids.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
But they shot it. The Department of Homeland Security shut it down. This guy hit me up, man. He was like, "Hey, man, just to let you know, those are the good guys." And I'm like, all right, come on, man. Like, Scott, we field all kinds, man, and we do it with judgment free for the most part, right? But like, if you're holding up a piece of paper saying my house is haunted, yeah, bro, I can tell that's your hand moving your sticky pad around, right? So like he hit me up, and I'm like, all right, man, well, tell me about it. He goes, and this is what he told me. He says they've discovered something living in these cave systems. They're breeding these things and setting them loose in those cave systems to fight whatever's in those cave systems. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right then. Like, I have no way to verify that. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm like, okay. But then when you hear, like what you just told me is like, the Department of Defense goes down, the DOD, that's military, y'all. They go down there and they study Skinwalker Ranch for 2 years. That was for a reason. And there was something that kept them there for a reason, right? And then I thought to myself, like, okay, maybe they did come across, say, those crazy dire wolves, right? And then like, okay, and we bred something like to go fight something on that. It's just all these things, all these threads that you pull. And, there was a time when you would like scoff at that. And then until you watch a Tic Tac UFO do a 90-degree angle turn, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy, man.
Right. And so they're like, okay, then yeah, well, I can't explain that, and then I can't explain this. Man, yeah,
it's wild.
That is like a, and another thing too that I thought was interesting about Bigelow is that you've heard him talk, right, Scott? You ever seen him talk? He's very he's not. He's very matter of fact. It's very.
Yeah.
It's like this, right?
Yeah.
They asked him a question. That one time that I saw, and he's like, "Do you think aliens are real?" And he goes, "Yeah, they're here. Like they're here. They're among you. Like."
Yeah, man.
Next question, right? Next question. Tell me you're not wasting my time with this, right? Next question, right? And so when he was done with Skinwalker Ranch, he sold it, took all of his data, didn't share it with anybody really, maybe gave it to the military people or whatever, and he's on to the next. He's done. I don't want it anymore. It's done. I found out what I needed to find out. Here you go. I sold it to the next guy. Turned into a theme park. I don't care what you do. I'm out. Right? He breaks out, and his matter of factness about it. This leads me down more and more and more in deep, like of course, we tug on threads, Scott. We go down rabbit holes, you know what I mean? And so he goes down the list, and I'm like, damn, wonder what he knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, what have they seen? These are the breadcrumbs that we're getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what did they catch? Could they find something? They catch something?
It's wild to think about, man. I am, like we talked about earlier, Skinwalker Ranch is a crazy ass place, dude. But I would love to have one of those experiences, even if it's one of the super mild ones.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go there and have an experience like that would just be insane. Like, I would love to experience it if there was a way to do it.
I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna give you my ticket. You can have two. I'm gonna give you my ticket, Scott. As I reach to the camera, I'm gonna give you my ticket. You can go. You can go through two rides on that, man. Because I got to tell you, man, I want nothing to do with this, and there's several reasons why, right? So, I'm a firm believer, man, in I like cryptids. And I like, UFOs, right? And I've said it before on my channel. If a gray alien couldn't shut your brain off, you could smoke 20 of them at one time, man. They are little. You know what I'm saying? They're not stopping you, right? And that Cro-Magnon DNA that we got, you're taking them out.
Right.
And if I'm in the woods or something like that, I know enough about the cryptids and the Appalachians and things like that where I'm going to get a shot. Like, I'm not going to try to hurt you, right? Like, I don't want to hunt. I don't want to ever bag a Bigfoot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to kill one, right? But if a Bigfoot was charging me through the brush, I'm going to get one shot off, right? I don't know if I'm going to make it out of there or whatever, but I'm going to get a shot off, right? But when I go to Skinwalker Ranch, everything can kill me out there. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing I can do. I got orbs, I got poltergeist, I got predators jumping across the trees, I got skinwalkers shooting out of the tree line. I got transformers crawling underneath the grass. What am I gonna do here? I stand no chance, Scott.
Yeah, man, it's wild, dude. It's insane. I would go. Brandon Fugal, if you ever see this, take me out there because I want to see this place for myself.
If I ever bump into that dude, man, and I get the elevator. If I get a 30-second elevator speech, man, I'll get you on Skinwalker Ranch, man. I will. I'll get you on there, man. I said, look, I got somebody. I'll even have to say it's I'll do what I got to do to get you there, bro.
Yeah, look, man.
So here's some questions for you before we wrap it up, right?
Yeah, man.
All right. Out of everything we talked about, right, what scares you the most out of all these things, right? Like if you had to, the one thing you wouldn't want to face, right? Like,
that's a really good question. The fact that one orb liquidated his 3 dogs,
yeah, right.
It's a very aggressive.
Yeah.
So I think that one's probably pretty scary to me. But it's all scary because whatever it is can kill you instantaneously.
Yeah.
Whatever this phenomena is, and it just chooses to talk 20 feet above your head.
Yeah, like looking down on you.
Like. So the whole thing is scary, but I think the liquidating the dogs thing is so aggressive.
You know what that reminds me of too, Scott? Is the Detlov Pass incident. I forget the tribe that was in that area. That mountain that they were beside they literally called it the Mountain of Death. It had orange orbs. said orange orbs, and the Detloff. Are you familiar with the Detloff Pass incident, the hikers?
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, so Detloff Pass incident was we did a show about this. It was I want to say it was 9 hikers, experienced hikers. Well, they weren't even hikers. They were mountaineers, right? They were taking their level 3 mountaineer test, and it was in Russia, and they were going along this route, and they were camped out, and they were well prepared, and then something in the middle of the night caused them to cut their tent open from the inside and bolt, naked, no shoes, and then, they had these very strange, they all died, they all passed away. They had radiation on them, which Skinwalker Ranch has radiation levels on them. Some of their tongues were removed, their eyes were removed. They had blunt force trauma to their head and chest that was so powerful that it would take like 10 car wrecks to do it. And the natives, they said that, the guardians, well, the spirits of the mountain, basically these orange orbs. And that was the same thing you were talking about, but they didn't liquidate. It wasn't reported that it was liquidated there. But yeah, man, those orange orbs, that was it. But for me, as those wolves, man, I don't want to mess with those wolves, man. That's for me, that's the thing. Like the thing across the tree, the thing, the predator. There were 2 guys standing there, and it is very strange. He went for the guy that was meditating. That is so weird.
Yeah, like why?
What was he doing to irritate you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And so, and the other guy just stood there, nothing happened to me. Like that wouldn't, in the orbs, I'd be like, okay. Poltergeist, I'd be like, oh, I'm leaving. But like a bobblehead murder wolf, like I don't want no part of that, man. you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want no part of that, man. So okay.
Yeah, man.
All right, so here I wrote down another question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, so let me get on here. Let's go right here. The machinery underground, right? So you are a serious, UFOs, man. Like the fight, the struggle, the classifications, this stuff inside and out, right? And you also the underground bases that go with it or whatever. What do you think that was? Like what like what's your like a guesstimate on what could that be? What is that?
And that's what's so strange about this is that the sounds coming from underground was a reaction to them digging on the earth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what's so puzzling to me is whatever that machinery is, what the hell is it doing that it needs to do that whenever they disturb the earth?
Yeah.
And I do not understand what that is. If this is all aliens and extraterrestrial stuff with the UFOs and all that stuff, and there's some kind of alien like dwelling base or something going on underground there, why is it responding to them digging?
Yeah, it's like, so
I don't get. They're afraid that they're going to dig so deep that they're going to get to where their like base is at or whatever. But they're trying to like fill in the hole. Like I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, they digging. Yeah, so and again, the very first thing you were talking about in the podcast is when they bought this ranch. Like in the contract, it was like, yo, don't dig. So that's again, that is so. That alone is weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't dig. Like, so I'm sure that like you probably had a well for water. You had a septic tank out there. It's like you're not connected to city water. So they're saying don't dig. And this is a ranch. It's a working ranch, right? Don't dig. I'm like, okay. And then they do dig, and all hell breaks loose. And then you literally hear machinery under the ground. That is so weird, man.
It's wild, dude. It's so crazy. I mean, if I saw that in a contract, if I was buying a property, the contract said don't dig, the first thing I'm going to do is ask why.
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
I don't know why there was no exchange of information there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dang, what was the guy's name? Come on, Sherman. I mean, like, how hype were you to get this property, man? Like, I'll sign whatever, right? Just don't dig. I walked into a house one time when I was house hunting way back in the day. I I was actually walked in there, and it was a 3-story house. I went upstairs, and we were, doing the open house or whatever. I thought the house was pretty cool. I get to the top of the stairs, and I noticed that there was a deadbolt lock on one of the doors in the back, and the key was on my side. So yep. So it had to be opened by a key, and that freaked me out so bad I left. I'm not even gonna. I wouldn't buy a house with one extra deadbolt on the door, right? Like, what's going on behind that door? I'm out, right? So definitely, if I walked into a house and the cabinets had locks inside, outside, 4 or 5 deadbolts on every door, I'm leaving. Like, what is going on here? So yeah, I thought that the whole thing, man. To me, the whole thing. I actually think that I'm very serious when I say this. I think Skinwalker Ranch, man, is like dead on proof for a lot of people's research, and I don't think people look into it enough, right? Like, I don't think they would say, like, this is the Walmart of like weirdness, right? You can go in there and it's like UFOs. Oh yeah, just go stand over there, and an orb will show up, and you'll shoot a flare in the sky, and you'll see a triangle, like the portal stuff too, right? Like, and the thing crawling out of it. It has everything. And so I don't think that they research enough, man, to go in there like to prove their theories, or to just to like show the evidence. But then now with like this year of like, that's what I'm calling 2024, Scott, like the year of disclosure. Everything coming forward.
Yeah.
This doesn't even shock me, man. Like, this doesn't even weird me out. Like, it's just another thing to add to the list that they knew that we didn't know, and just a bunch of weird fidukery going on out there.
It's crazy, man.
Bro, man, thanks for the nightmares. Anyways, wow, Scott, tell everybody where they can find you. I've hyped you up before, man. So if you're new to this channel, man, yeah. Scott, tell them where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, Instagram. Instagram's the home base for me. So you go to it's at mysterious.planet_. Mysterious.planet_ on Instagram. That's home base for me. So you can also find me at that same on Facebook. I have a TikTok and an X. I don't mess with it too much. But I can send Joseph. I can send you the info. You have it. You can put it up.
Through the magic of post editing, all your stuff is already on the screen, bro. You just can't see it. Look, right here. See him right there, guys. At Mysterious.
There it is.
He's on Threads too. So I don't know. I'm not on Threads. Yeah. So what's your handle over there? At Mysterious Planet _ as well?
Yeah. And it's all tied through Instagram. So it's at mysterious.planet_.
Yeah, and so go over there. Scott is a wealth of knowledge, highly knowledgeable. He's like, I get all my UFO stuff from Scott and over there on the line. Scott is dominating that platform. What are you now? 30,000, 40,000? Every time I look, man. Every time I look, you're up like, I want to go to Vegas with you, man. Every time I look, you're up like $2,000.
Yeah, man. It's close to 21,000.
Nice, bro. Nice. Good job, man. You're killing it, dude. You're slaying it, bro. And go over there, give Scott a follow. His channel's great, man. Your channel is really good, Scott. It is good. And then, so yeah, I got shadow banned on TikTok myself, man. And I just got unshadow banned like 2 days ago, or like last week. You know what they shadow banned me for?
Yeah. But it's like kind of gets like pushed aside and people don't see it, right?
Yeah, but you me tell you what I did to earn that badge on. I actually took it as like, yeah, I'm digging on the right holes, right?
What'd you do?
So I post up. So man, Scott, I post up like my content, man. Like I post up. I deal with the weird, man.
Yeah.
So the Vatican released a press conference saying, "Hey, look, we're going to disclose a manual on how to deal with extraterrestrials." Right.
Right.
I took their press release and I posted it on TikTok, and TikTok said I was spreading conspiracy theories. True story. I appealed it. I lost. I appealed it one more time and I lost. I'm like, I copied and pasted that picture from their website, right?
From the Vatican website. Come on.
Yeah. And so they're like, no, it's like, it's not about that and the other. And so then, like, I actually had a follow-up video for it. I didn't even make it. Was The Pope came out the day he was talking about it. If you go and look at the picture, he's wearing a green stripe on his, I guess they call them robes or whatever. He's got the Nazca line creature on there.
Oh,
Scott, go look that up and throw it on your channel, bro. Like he's got the Nazca, the Nazca lines, obviously, right? Yeah, so look what he's wearing during that press conference. It's the robot from the Nazca lines. There's on his shirt, and I'm like, well, I would post that up, but like 8 people will see it. So yeah, so check it out.
Crazy.
Yeah, so check it out, man. So yeah, go do your thing, man, wherever you find it. But go pull that footage or just a picture of it. This dude is wearing a white robe. It's with a green stripe down the middle, and on the green stripe in the middle is the Nazca line creature. And I was like, and no one's talking about that. Like no one thinks that's weird, right?
I need to go look at that.
Yeah. And so another guy reached out to me saying that the Vatican had already put out guidelines basically stating that the Messiah is not going to be human-like. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's going to be something. They're very clever with their words, and they use the word, it will appear alien to us. So like, okay, so like, you can go and like, okay, so he didn't say it was an alien, so like, a 3-legged pug looks alien to me, right? With like like with wheels for its back legs or something, looks alien to me, right? So I just thought that was weird, bro. But yo, go check it out. So
thanks. Dang, that's crazy, man.
Also, too, man, I think I found a UFO conference for us to go to.
Oh yeah.
I just got it today, right? And I haven't reached out. Oh, I haven't reached out to verify it yet, man. I'll text it to you or whatever. And so, Scott, man, you're a pro, dude. You're a pro coming in here, and I want to tell everybody, go give this guy a follow, smash his videos to make you smarter. And if you've stuck around this long, you're our type of losers. I want you to smash that subscribe button on YouTube there. Give us a thumbs up. Tell us how amazing we are. We're very humble. Tell us how amazing we are. Tell your friends about us. Leave us in the comments. So, Scott, you got anything on the way out?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, no, man. So I love having you on, man. Like I've been trying to work the schedule out for like a while, right? And I think I was just on with Chris and Ariel from the Elephant in the Room 401 podcast, right? And I had told them that one thing that I'm learning about this, podcast life is that people don't revolve around my life. It's my schedule, right? So when I was like, hey, come on the show, like, yeah, man, I'm not ready. How about, so like, something, oh yeah, damn, my bad. Yeah, man. So hey, when are you ready? So yeah, man. So it's awesome, man. I'm glad you made time for me, man. Thank you for coming in, man. Always a joy. I know I'll have you back in the future. So
for sure.
Everybody, we're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.